Hello! Today we are going to talk about how to install a cornhole wrap when you have a graphic or a design anywhere around the hole. My name is Dwayne, I'm with Corn Throw, and today that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to talk you through, show you exactly how to get this wrap centered perfectly on your cornhole board so it looks fantastic. I'm not going to discuss actually how to install the wrap. I did that last time in my last video. I did it in quite great detail, but I promised that I would come out with another video to cover exactly how we solve this issue. This can be very challenging trying to get this lined up perfectly if you just don't know how to do that. And so today hopefully we're going to cure that for you. So let me get started. Let me get this out of the way here real quick. So the key to getting this wrap installed on this board and to getting it done so that it's perfectly centered is that we have to get a reference point here in the center where there is nothing. And so on the surface that seems kind of difficult to do, but it's really not. The way that we solve that is with two jigs. They're very similar and they're very easy to make. Let's talk about this jig first, the simple one. This is nothing more than a 4 1/4 inch by 4 1/4 inch block of plywood. Now, when you make this one, you're going to doesn't matter what size or thickness of material you use. You can use 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch, 1/8 inch, and whatever you have laying around. And you're just going to cut it 4 1/4 inches by 4 1/4 inches square. When you do that, you can then take a straight edge and you can line up either corner and make a mark with your pencil. And again, the same thing here. And then you're going to mark the mark with your pencil. And what that's going to do is going to find the exact dead center of this block. Get to why we're going to do that in just a second. Once you find that center, then you're going to want to take and drill a small hole. A hole about the size of a 4-penny finish nail. Maybe a 6-penny finish nail. Something small. And the reason you're going to do that is because you're going to use this hole to poke a hole through your vinyl. Let me explain. And I don't know if you can see this on camera or not, but what you're going to want to do is now, in order to find the absolute dead center of this hole, is you're going to take this block and you're simply going to line up the 4 points and that touch the edge of your graphic. And when you do that, you'll know that you have just found the absolute center of your hole. So if I lay this back down and I line this up just absolutely perfect, one corner touching each one, I know that I have found the center of it. I take that 4-penny finish nail, I poke it through the center, and I will now have a mark dead center in my hole. That's the first issue to solve. So now we know the reference mark in our graphic. Now we have to somehow get that reference mark here in the center of the hole. And we're going to do that with this next jig. Now, this next jig, the top part is exactly the same as the one that we just went over. It's a 4 1/4 by 4 1/4 inch block. What does that mean? That means that from this corner to this corner is 6 inches, and from this corner to this corner is 6 inches. That means it's going to fit just snug and just perfectly inside that hole. We're going to take this block, and this block is important, that when you make this one, you make it out of whatever material you make your top out of, or at least the same thickness material. That's important for when we show you this next step in installing it. So we're going to make this block, again, 4 1/4 inches square. We're going to take a scrap piece underneath it, and this can be anything you want, 3/4, 1/2 inch, it doesn't really matter. It could be 8 inches long, 10 inches long, it could be square, it doesn't make any difference. It's just a piece that's going to keep this from falling all the way through the hole. So we're going to take this top block, simply screw it on to this piece that's underneath there. Simple enough. Then, having made that same center mark, we're going to take a 4-penny or a 6-penny finish nail, and we're going to drive it down into the center of that hole. I hope you can see that on camera. Now, you don't have to do this next step, but I do. I take a pair of linesman's pliers, I just snip off the head of the nail. Gives me a nice kind of sharp point, is all. So, now this is jig number 2. Again, the back can be anything. The top is going to be the same thickness as the top of your material. You're going to find the dead center, you're going to drive a nail through, and now we're going to have a reference point for exactly where the center of the hole is. So, how does that look like? Let me throw this board up on here. Upside down. We're going to take our jig. Here's the nail. Here's the back side. Put it right down in the hole. The jig is in there firm. It can't move from side to side. It can't wiggle around. I'm going to take my screw gun, put 2 screws through. Remember, don't screw through the top. So if you're using a piece of 3/4 inch like I am, and I have a 1/2 inch piece of material underneath, that's 1 1/4 inch, I'm going to use a 1-inch screw. That way I have no fear of going through my top. So, I'll put the screw in. That's going to hold, this is going to hold the jig in place. There we go. Now I flip the board back over. Now I have a reference point exactly dead center in my hole. I also have a reference point exactly dead center in my graphic, or in my hole on my cornhole board wrap. Then all I have to do is take that hole, line it up with the nail that I have coming through, slide it on there, and now my wrap can't move. It's dead center in that hole. It can't move left and right, and it can't move up and down. So the only thing you have left to do now is to come down here, measure, find where you want it down here, and do your tape process or clamps or whatever process that you would do. But now you have your graphic lined up exactly 100% perfect in the center of that hole. If you don't do it this way, it's very difficult to try and measure because you can't see under the wrap, you can't see through the wrap, and if you're off by as little as 1/8 of an inch, it's going to not look like a great finished product based off the thickness of whatever that graphic that you have around here. So this solves that issue. If you are doing cornhole boards as a side hustle, you're building 2 or 3 a month, I would even recommend that you take this jig and mount it to the workstation that you use. That way you don't have to take it on and off every board that you're working with. If you're only installing this one set of wraps because you're not a hobbyist, this isn't what you do, just make the jig, don't worry about attaching it to a workstation, and that way you can get your wrap on, it can look beautiful, and then you're good to go. Hopefully this was helpful. Hopefully it wasn't too long in coming. If you have any questions, please comment below, or feel free to email me as well. You can reach us at info@cornthrow, that's KOHRN, and throw like you're throwing a ball.com. Thanks for watching, and hope this helped you.